So, which of last year's playoff teams might not have a chance to make it this year? What about teams that missed the playoffs last year? Who could possibly make their way into the postseason? And which head coaches do we feel are going into the 2024 season on the hot seat? Going to see if we can try to find those answers to those questions and many more as we get you ready for another off-season edition of Fantasy Football Fever, which starts right about now. Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Fever. It is Friday night, May 31st, 2024, going out of May, going into June tomorrow. We got a lot of teams, pretty much all the teams are going into their OTAs for this weekend. Seeing some action here. We got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. Of course, I'm Tim McClellan. This man over here, of course, is the host of Hooked on Sports. John Flynn, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, Tim. Thank you for asking. And how are you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty good, pretty good. Trying to keep it up with pretty much right now the hottest team in sports is right now Dallas, Texas. I mean, I was so happy to see the Mavericks beat out the Timberwolves to claim the Western Conference Finals, and making their way back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2011 when they won their first championship. And then, of course, tonight we got the Stars and the Oilers and their Western Conference Finals in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. So, kind of exciting times in Big D right now.
It's and I think the gods at ESPN made it a good time to dunk on the Cowboys because you had the Rangers and as well as the Mavs and the Stars all go to the conference finals in their respective sports, while the Cowboys haven't been in played on Championship Sunday since January of '96. So you had that, but look, the Mavs completely outplayed the Timberwolves, and Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have just been incredible. It's, and then you also have the Stars, who are again I've said this before. This podcast, my preseason pick to win the whole was my preseason pick to win the Stanley Cup. But but last time I checked, it wasn't looking so hot for Dallas right about now. Um, in their game against Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
we'll do a little check on that here pretty soon. But
yeah.
we got a lot of stuff to talk about on tonight's show. We've got a bunch of hot topics that we want to really get into right now. Starting over in Los Angeles, where the Rams running back Kyron Williams, who had a pretty great year last season, has just suffered a knee injury. Uh, I don't know the extent of the injury or how long he might be out. You heard anything, Flynn?
It's not, we haven't heard the extent of it, but I do think it's kind of newsworthy in the fact that the Rams drafted Blake Corum with their third round pick last year, this past draft. That he of course was front and center in the Michigan backfield last few years under Jim Harbaugh, and he was so dynamite for Michigan. The Rams let him fall to the third round where they could just scoop him up, and you figure that from a fantasy perspective, that's going to zap some of the value that Kyron Williams had, because he was basically, when he was out there, he was in one man backfield all by himself, constantly getting turning in 100 yard 100 yards on the ground, a touchdown performance. It felt like weekly, and now because he's hurt, Blake Corum is getting the chance to get the reps at OTAs in the first team. So I think that's an exceptional pick by the Rams. I mean, in terms of a game perspective, where you can take some pressure off of Kyle Williams that you won't need to have him run 20 25 times a game, and that's great for the um for that perspective. But if Lake Corum continues to show something, I think that that's going to eat into the workload here of Kyle Williams, and that'll reduce his draft value come draft time.
Like I said, Kyron Williams was a pretty much a great fantasy stud last year. Hopefully, this injury is not going to be not too serious for those Rams over in Los Angeles. Uh, on the other side of the country, your Giants as a quarterback situation right now that hopefully they can get that settled before too long.
Yeah, I think you would have to say that one of the worst, maybe if not the worst quarterback situation in the league this year because because first of all you have Daniel Jones coming off the torn ACL and he talked to the press last week and said that he is adamant that he's going to be the week 1 starter for the Giants in the game against the Vikings coming up on September the 8th, which is 100 days from today, so that the Giants season starts
Right.
along with everyone else that doesn't play Thursday, Friday, or Monday. But but I scrolled through the Giants Twitter page and I saw Daniel Jones taking reps and I saw Drew Lock taking reps and both Daniel Jones and Drew Lock knew each other from the Senior Bowl in 2019. They were both drafted the same year. I was a big Drew Lock proponent in the draft process because he had a strong arm. He was a good leader. Helped make Missouri relevant for a brief time in the SEC. But but the reason why the Giants and maybe perhaps the biggest reason why the Giants are in such a perilous position in terms of the roster is because Daniel Jones has a $47.5 million cap hit and based on what I saw, he does not look like the part of a starting quarterback, and I think that that's pretty alarming for the Giants. And but I think the catch is that if Daniel Jones suffers another season-ending injury and it doesn't pass a physical next year, so in that the Giants even if the Giants cut Daniel Jones, it will be an additional $25 million cap hit for protection purposes. So the Giants really need to walk this fine line of with their quarterback this year because it's because look the Giants roster is still very much a work in progress and we knew said that it was under construction. Yeah, I mean because but you do have you need to figure out the offensive line. Hopefully, our offensive line coach Carmen Basillo actually shows Brian Dable some common sense when it comes to the offensive line because that's going to be needed, especially when it comes to Evan Neal and who they play at their guards, whether it's John Munyon Jr., Jermaine Illuminor. So it's going to be a logjam up there up front uh, on those fronts. So you have that. You have the youngest secondary in the league now. Young isn't necessarily a bad thing. Especially I mean, take for example last year's Packers team, but this has all the makings of being a long year for the Giants. So that's going to be a huge problem. And look, here's my hot take for you, Tim. I think Drew Lock is going to start more games this year for the Giants than Daniel Jones.
Hmm. I think we're going to have to put that one on the board.
Yeah, I think you can mark the tape on that one. So,
Right.
um, yeah, but that's what the eye test says, Timmy, and I think sometimes you need to that sometimes you can look at stats, but which is big, but so there's nothing deceiving about the eye test, and Daniel Jones has not passed the eye test since the wild card game against the Vikings that defense in 2022.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like ages ago since they last had a great quarterback like Eli Manning. But
Yeah, yeah. I say, but you know the Giants are going to be drafting the quarterback next year, and hopefully we can get if Shador Sanders has a great another great year at Colorado and he's declares for the draft, I would not be surprised if Shador Sanders is going to be the Week 1 2025 quarterback for the Giants next year.
that sounds like another bold prediction right there.
Yeah, so. So we have that, and there's also and while we're on quarterback situations, there's been more chatter about the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback situation. As
Right. Right.
right, right, because it's been talking about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and how Arthur Smith incorporates his running game into an offense. So it's there's going to be a really interesting dilemma on I think not just if but when the Steelers allow Justin Fields to start because I think if you look at the last couple of years, Timmy, I think it feels like Russell Wilson. Look, I've defended Russell Wilson, and I tried to defend Russell Wilson for during his time in Denver, but it is not necessarily an easy thing to do.
True.
Yeah, as Natalia comes in,
Hey, there's our league commissioner, John Natale. How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good, guys. How are you?
yeah, I'm good. Yes, so we were just talking about the about quarterback situations with the Steelers and when they're gonna pull the plug on Russell Wilson and let Justin Fields start with Pat Frymuth with the running backs with Jalen Warren, Najee Harris and the potential for of a trio of runners in that backfield.
Ah,
Yeah.
I would say maybe week 7, maybe.
Yeah. See, I have the Steelers schedule in my as my background because the Steelers start at Atlanta in the Arthur Smith revenge game. Then they're at Denver, first the Chargers, at Indy, versus Dallas, at the Raiders, and then the Jets and the Giants. So, I would say Justin Fields is gonna start. Is gonna be their starter by week 8.
Okay, yeah, we're right around the same wavelength. I said week 7, so we're pretty close.
Yeah, week 7 they have the Jets on a Sunday night game. Week 8 they're home against the Giants on the Monday night game. So you can take that for what it's worth.
Right.
Yeah. So right before you got on, we also talked about the Giants quarterback situation and the Drew Lock looks like looking at the highlights. Drew Lock looks like a better option at quarterback than Daniel Jones.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that, and I think, and I also said that that Drew Lock is going to start more games for the Giants this season than Daniel Jones.
I could see that.
Interesting situation. Well, we have some players sign some more contract extensions. Nico Collins, the young man from the Houston Texans, just signed a 3 years, $72.5 million contract with $52 million guaranteed. So at least he is locked in for another 3 years with that young team, Houston Texans, and looks like they have only one way to go. That's up.
I mean the Texans have had an exceptional offseason so far because you lock up you lock up your one of your young stud receivers. He had 80 catches for 1,297 yards, 8 touchdowns. He was a top 20 receiver in fantasy last year. And now you could very much look at Nico Collins as your number 2 wide receiver going into the season for Houston, with Stephon Diggs now in Houston. So the Texans are in a place where they could be even better. I think he's worth every single penny.
Yeah, I would definitely think so right there. Uh, I got another player here. Dolphins extend Jalen Waddle. This one is it's 3 years, 84.75 million with 76 million guaranteed. That's kind of a slight head scratcher right there.
Yeah.
Like the thing that really sticks out to me is the guaranteed money with $76 million guaranteed.
Cool.
I mean, so basically the Dolphins, because remember Jalen Waddle was a first round pick, so this is his 4th year of his 5-year rookie contract because the Dolphins picked up the 5th-year option before the draft. So this makes sure he has 5 years of team control. He's through 2028, and that's a lot of money to give to a receiver, to a number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, kind of boggles me a little bit.
So yeah,
Let me see.
like to me, the question is: you have Tyreek Hill extended, you have Jalen Waddle extended. So how are you going to meet the demands of Tua? And I don't even know if Tua Tagovailoa is the answer in Miami with the Dolphins. So because look, I don't know. I'm not feeling the Dolphins this year at all.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put
Yeah,
them
it's just
on my could miss the playoffs list.
Yeah.
yeah. There seems to be kind of a like an imbalance with Tua here. I mean, he's great, but then he's not so great. Uh, it could go either way.
I mean, take a look at all of his games the last year against Buffalo and Kansas City. So that, and even so, even against Dallas, that he needed to grind to beat the guy to beat the Cowboys last year. I mean, in that game where the Cowboys with that defense. So yeah, he'll light up the league's worst defenses, but then when it comes to him facing a real defense, and his ability to handle pressure coming from edge rushers, I think that's kind of a scary thought.
Yeah, it is kind of scary. We'll just have to see how that plays out. We have another extension signed. The wide receiver for the 49ers, Jawan Jennings, he just signed a 2-year, 15.5 million contract, 10 million guaranteed. So at least the 49ers still hold on to one of their best weapons right there. And of course, still, in my opinion, the 49ers are pretty much still the best team in the NFC until further notice.
Yeah, I mean, but I think because you look at the 49ers offense, and it's so incredible, and it's such an incredible machine, beautiful machine. Now, I think the question for the 49ers is about their defense, whether they can stay, whether or not they can stay healthy, because. Yeah, because we talked a lot about the absence of Tulanula Hafanga, their All-Pro safety from 2022, who wasn't available for the 23 playoffs, and the difference of that. Then you throw on the injury Drake Greenlaw suffered in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs and how the impacted that game. So look, I listen. If Talon, if those two come back and play at a level that I think they're capable of playing, and they also got Leonard Floyd in free agency as well, on top of what they already have. So if those guys can contribute and they can constantly play at a high level, I will be penciling the 49ers as my pick to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, yeah, they it was still a kind of a shocking way how those how it all went down that NFC Championship game. I mean, yeah, the Packers and the Niners, and what a game it was. I mean, I have to say that was one of the best NFC games I've seen in recent memory. So, and speaking of Green Bay, got hamstring issues from their receiver, Christian Watson.
Ouch.
What's the news on that?
Yes. Yes, so I will be sharing the ESPN article that was published last week because Christian Watson was the second round pick for the Packers a couple of years ago, as similar to other receivers the Packers have drafted, being a star, and Christian Watson's fantasy value really diminished last year and so when his hamstring issues popped up, and 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 he missed 11 games of the season that really wanted to work with really wanted to work with conditioning on his legs. So he went to the University of Wisconsin so athletic trainers could see and figure out what the problems were, and a lot of it had to do with his mechanics, but on his lower level. So it feels like that his goal is symmetry when he's running. So and it should also note that perfect symmetry is nearly impossible, and there's a certain rate that is muscles because one of his hamstrings is stronger than the others, and that doesn't particularly bode well, especially for a wide receiver that needs to run. So. Look, I think Christian Watson could be in for a monster season in terms of fantasy. If he can stay healthy, we've seen the signs the last couple of years. I think you look at Christian Watson's breakout game against the Cowboys. You look at, I think he had that big game against the I believe it was against um I think it was against Tampa last year. I couldn't tell, but he made some big strides before he got hurt last year as well. So Christian Watson is definitely going to be someone to watch for a breakout season.
Yeah, all of you fantasy players will keep an eye on Christian Watson. See how he does during his OTAs, of course, during the training and the training camps. Go on. So we'll see how his hamstring can hold up there. Um, let's go to Kansas City with the defending champions, the Chiefs, and their issues with this new kickoff rule. They're considering not using Harrison Butker, their kicker, for kickoffs. First of all, Flynn, you may have to remind me and everyone else about this new rule that the NFL came up with concerning the kickoffs.
Yeah, so I think this is something that I think that the league has been experimenting on in term. Again, this is another one of the player safeties. So the ball will be kicked from the 35-yard line, which is still the same. all kicking, and I'll pull up the new rules here on the NFL websites. This way you can see.
Okay.
First in term it. Let me make it a little bigger for you guys. So, um, so you yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to do it this way. So
Probably.
all kicking teams players so will line up within 1 foot of the receiving team's 40-yard line. So basically, when the kicker kicks at the 35-yard line, their own 35, the rest of the team is going to be at the opposing 40-yard line. So it's a 25-yard difference. The members of the kicking team can't move until the ball hits the ground or lands into the end zone. It's in that a 5 yard area from the opposing 35 to the 30-yard line, where at least 9 receiving team players must line up. So you have 10 players at the 40-yard line, and then you have 9 players between the other team with 5 to 10 yards away from that line. Um, um, Yes, so the landing zones are anywhere between the team's receiving goal line and its 20-yard line. So basically, that's the red zone. Any kick that hits short of the landing zone will be treated like a kickoff out of bounds. And any kick that hits in the landing zone must be returned or um it's with all that. So you can see here the rules. Um,
I see. Any kick that
yeah,
lands in the landing zone must be returned. So,
yeah, and I
hmm,
think I think the reason why they're doing that is because you need someone that can make a tackle, and you don't your kicker getting hurt trying to tackle someone on
right.
a kick return. So I think the Chiefs have used Justin Reed as the kicker in its absence.
Hmm. Very interesting rule. I'm gonna have to go through that one more time to I'll probably do that later on, but yeah, it's all these different rules they're coming up with. They just gotta really process that in my head right here, but
Yeah,
we'll just
yeah,
see how that.
yeah. And also, you heard Aaron Rodgers was in the news again last week because I think because he spoke to the press last week and he said that despite Nathaniel Hackett not having a good year last year, I mean, obviously the season was torpedoed by Aaron Rodgers getting hurt on the 4th snap of the season, but he says that the trust level should be high when it comes to Nathaniel Hackett. And look, Nathaniel Hackett was Aaron Rodgers' offensive coordinator with Green Bay. Came over with Matt LaFleur. They came together. Aaron Rodgers had 2 MVP seasons, and then Hackett becomes the coach of Denver. Both of their performances receded. They come together again with the Jets. Rodgers gets hurt, and Nathaniel Hackett ran the worst red zone offense the league has seen in 20 years. Look, I think the Jets are going to make the playoffs this year. I think they're going to end the longest playoff drought in sports, but
Yes.
they're not the first team on my list on that.
Yeah, I just put mine in a random order. Mine had no particular order. It was just
Right.
I picked random
Yeah,
teams.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
I wonder if Aaron Rodgers is trying to tell us once again to RELAX as
yep.
if like he told us many years ago.
Yeah, they went all the way to the NFC Championship game that the year he said that when they had a 16-0 lead in the NFC Championship game and they blew it against Seattle.
Yeah.
But Yeah, but I do, but it should be exciting though if if they're healthy because Brees Hall, it could have another monster season, and they have three new starters on the offensive line, so I think that could be something that really powers the Jets ahead.
Yeah, looks like it could be another exciting season for those JETS Jets. Speaking of exciting, why don't we go to the Windy City? It has just been announced that the Chicago Bears will be this year's featured team on HBO's critically acclaimed Hard Knocks. So, what about that?
I mean, I think you got to be excited. I mean, as a Bears fan, now it used to be so much of a doom and gloom because teams didn't want to be featured on Hard Knocks, but last year the Jets wanted to take advantage as a potential love note, a love story, about the long suffering Jets fans and the idea of Aaron Rodgers being the savior at that time. And now you have the Chicago Bears now with Caleb Williams, Romeo Dunze, Keenan Allen. That they added other pieces to their defense, so it could be a really big year for the Chicago Bears where they could win 10, 11 games.
Oh, yeah, especially after that killer first round of the draft. Caleb Williams with the top pick. Then later on, they get Romo Dunze with the wide receiver position. I think that offense is just bolstered up just a little bit. We'll see how that works out. So, so I guess those are pretty much the hot topics we got for you this time. But now we're getting into the meat of our show, and we kind of hinted at it earlier about our teams that could make the playoffs that didn't last year, and then the playoff teams last year that may not make it. So, with that being said, who are we going to show first?
Yeah,
Who's list?
I think we should also point out the teams that made the playoffs last year that didn't make it the year before. So the teams that made the playoffs last year after missing the year before, you had the Houston Texans, you had the Cleveland Browns, you had the Pittsburgh Steelers, you had the Packers, the Rams, and the Detroit Lions. So you had six teams make the playoffs last year after missing the year before. Now, the teams that made the playoffs in 2022 and missed playoffs in 2023, so that means six teams fit into that category. You have the Minnesota Vikings, the New York Football Giants, the Seattle Seahawks, the Baltimore. You have the Chargers, who of course fired their head coach. Yeah, and then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hmm. Oh, interesting
Yes.
contrast there.
Yes, so what each of us did, we did something. So we did the same thing for a special last year. That we each picked five teams that based on what we've seen so far this offseason, five teams that can make the playoffs after missing the year before, and then the five teams who will miss the playoffs this year after making it last year. So I'm going to start I'm going to start with my list here for just a second here. Um, Yep. So here's my list of teams that who fit each of the categories, and I'll go through one of them one by one. I'm going to talk about who's out, and I mentioned this before about the Miami Dolphins. I'm just not sold on the Dolphins with a competitive AFC and seeing the Jets improvements, seeing other teams around the conference improve. And the Dolphins have pretty much stood pat throughout this offseason, and they were mainly focused on extending their players. There's been a little bit of drama around Tua. this offseason when it comes to OTAs. I just don't think the Dolphins. Given some of their schedule this year, I think it's gonna be difficult because the Dolphins play the AFC South, where we're gonna have three contenders with the Jags, the Colts, and the Houston Texans, and then then they also play the NFC West this year with the 49ers and the 49ers and the Rams, and maybe Seattle as well. So and none of those games are going to be gimmies, and I still think Buffalo has the quarterback advantage, but with this team, but I just don't know. I just don't think the Dolphins are going to be a playoff team, and neither do I think the Bills are going to be a playoff team now. Well,
Hmm.
we obviously can't discard Josh Allen because I think he's a tremendous quarterback, and but I need to see it to believe it. I hope, but because I think their defense is going to be a mess this year in Buffalo, which is why I held them back. So I'm concerned with that, and also again with all the contenders in the AFC. So that and look in the AFC, I think the teams you could easily you can rule out are you can start with the Patriots, start with and the Broncos as the first two, and that the Raiders are going to be a bit of a long shot. Although I like the coach, don't love the quarterback. Tennessee is going to be a long shot. I like the quarterback more than most. But I don't. I think Tennessee is going to be a fourth place team in the AFC South. So now you take the other 12 teams, and five of them are going to miss the playoffs. So, and I think the Bills are going to be one left out on this one. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be a team that I have right now. I would have missing the playoffs because I think they have issue they have questions on the offensive line. They have questions questions concerning the quarterback. I think as well. So and right now I think you can count several teams that I have ranked ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. Perhaps the Cowboys' saving grace this season in terms of playoffs or no playoffs is that they get the gift of the schedule in the NFC East, where they have the Giants and the Commanders twice this season. So that could be the reason why the Cowboys make the playoffs for a fourth consecutive year. But right now, I think the Cowboys are clearly inferior in terms of the roster and the coaching to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I think were the toughest inclusion in all this because you have to exclude it. Probably have to exclude an AFC North team from the playoffs. Even though I think all four rosters are pretty strong, I think you had to like what the Steelers did with the offensive line and with getting Patrick Queen. But again, the thing that's the one I would be most comfortable changing and putting back into the playoffs with if everything if everything it falls as equals here. But I'm not sold on Cleveland missing the playoffs because I think and I know the question with Cleveland is going to be about Deshaun Watson and him. I think that's going to be the biggest X factor to me. The biggest X factor of the NFL season is going to be the performance of Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. But either way, you have an exceptional roster, outstanding offensive line, one of the best defenses in the league, great coaching. You're returning the reigning coach of the year. You're returning the reigning assistant coach of the year, and Jim Schwartz. So I think this going. I think you got to include Cleveland. Baltimore is a juggernaut. The health of Joe Burrow is going to be a question as well. So in regard to the landscape of the AFC. So right now the Pittsburgh Steelers I think are the team. So and again the Steelers are the only the only one that doesn't have that has a quarterback controversy. So that could play into some drama. And then the last team I have left out is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucks had a great season last year. That they looked really good, but I think the Falcons improved. I think the Bucks got a little lucky with the tiebreakers last year. So I think that's is the five teams I have left out. Now, in terms of who's in, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars making it. They were the number one team on my list because look, if you remember, there was a point last year where we were talking about the Jaguars being the one seed in the AFC, and people were saying that the Jags are the best team in the AFC, and then Trevor Lawrence got hurt to play through an ankle sprain, which was not the right call, and it was an easy first guess, and that decision led to the Jaguars' collapse. He was clearly not the same after that. The other team another slam dunk I have who's in is the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow missed the last 7 games of the season because of that wrist injury he suffered on a Thursday night game against Baltimore in Week 11. And I think having Joe Burrow in there and the Bengals beefed up their offensive line this offseason, which I really like to see. They also bolstered their secondary. They had a huge hole at the safety position last year. So I think the Bengals with Joe Burrow, who I think, I think it's easy to forget about Joe Burrow because we were all tied up with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, but you can make a case that Joe Burrow is going to be the second or third best quarterback in the AFC going into the season, and I think you'll get the Bengals as a team that can make the playoffs and win the division. 2 NFC teams I included here: the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears completely changed. That they now have a real quarterback. They have a new offensive coordinator. They have maybe the best trio of wide receivers in the NFL. They already had DJ Moore. And then this offseason they traded for Keenan Allen. They drafted Rome Odunze in the draft. Exceptional job by Ryan Poles this offseason with all of that. I think the trickiest one of the 2 tricky ones was in terms of the who's in was insert NFC South team because you can make a case for both Atlanta and New Orleans to win the division because with the Saints you had you have an excellent roster that couldn't close out games, but I think when it comes to the Falcons. I think they have the best quarterback in the division. Not to say that they about the decision to draft Michael Penix Jr., which I think was beyond mind numbing. But I think you trust. But when you look at the Falcons and the Saints. And was one of the things I say is which team has the better coach, which team has the better quarterback, and I trust the Falcons coach to coach team up to victory more than I do with Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints, and then I put the Jets in as the last of my 5 teams in because right now I think the Jets on paper are better than both the Bills and the Dolphins. So. Those are my 5 playoffs, no playoff picks. Now, who wants to go next?
You go, Ken.
All righty then, go ahead and put up my list if you would. Excuse me. Well, anyway, as far as my list is concerned, the who's out teams for this year. First and foremost, unfortunately, I'm kind of on the fence with the Cowboys. I mean, and I agree with everything that Flynn just said about the Cowboys. They're basically going to have to plug in 2 of their draft picks and 2 of their including their top draft pick, Tyler Guyton, and they'll have to plug in a rookie, Connor Beebe, into that offensive line. And then you have issues with Dak. I mean, what Dak are we going to see this year? Are we going to see the Dak who led the league in interceptions 2 seasons ago? Or are we going to see the Dak that led the league in touchdown passes last year? That's what I'm thinking about. I mean, the defense, still looks all right. I think they had a couple of issues. We lost Leighton Vander Esch. Of course, he was kind of injury prone, kind of like his predecessor, Sean Lee there. So that's my slight inkling that the Cowboys that could hold the Cowboys out of the playoffs for this year. Also, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have been just able to get winning seasons in from Mike Tomlin. They may miss the playoffs this year because of the quarterback situation. I just had that screen. I just had that up on my screen here. Yeah, with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Um, I'm really starting to believe that Russell Wilson is just becoming a shell of what he used to be. And Justin Fields, in my opinion, really hasn't proven to me that he can be a solid quarterback, but with enough mentoring and enough training, he may make it there. I guess that's probably the only situation I have with the Steelers there. I mean, their defense is all right, but the Steelers might miss out. Also, I've got Tampa Bay. Um, as Flynn said, Atlanta looks pretty good right now. New Orleans is doing okay. Carolina, they'll probably definitely be out of the playoffs. I didn't really want to include them. Tampa Bay probably going to miss the playoffs this year. Um, Still have Mike Evans, but I think it's the defense that kind of gives me cause to pause in Tampa Bay. Uh, Cleveland, I'm really starting to think that Baltimore has really improved. I think that Cincinnati has improved. I think those two teams, Baltimore and Cincinnati, will probably go neck and neck for the AFC North title, and they'll probably leave out Cleveland and Cleveland and Pittsburgh here. So I had to put the bottom two AFC North teams on my list, and also maybe the Los Angeles Rams. Um, and let me see my depth chart here for Los Angeles. Uh, with the issues with who is it that had we just Kyron Williams. That situation hopefully will be taken care of. Um, Looks like yeah. I no, truthfully, I think San Francisco, Seattle could improve. Arizona has definitely improved a little bit over the last couple of years. Los Angeles hasn't really given me anything exciting to uh, to look at. So I think Los Angeles may miss the playoffs. So those are my five out. My five in. I've got two teams from the NFC North. I got the Bears. They killed it in the first round of the draft. As I was mentioning to Flynn during our pregame meeting, our pre-show meeting, when they got Jalen Daniels and they got Roma Dunze, and he just mentioned that's probably one of the best triad wide receiving core right now in the league. Yeah, offense is going to be great. Defense may have to step up, but I think I've got a feeling that the Bears, they may be able to contend with Green Bay and Detroit, maybe in the NFC North, and also I see the Minnesota Vikings. They got they got rid of Kirk Cousins, but I think they got a good deal with JJ McCaffrey. And
Uh,
then you
JJ McCarthy.
McCarthy, yeah, JJ McCarthy. I knew I was close on that one. And then I think you got let me see that depth chart here. You got So you're still gonna have Sam Darnold. Actually, I think I may make a bold prediction here. I'd say probably near, maybe a little bit before, maybe after the midway point of the season. I think they may go ahead and start changing McCarthy because I think right now Sam Darnold, he really hasn't proven anything to me in his young career.
I think JJ McCarthy should be the week one starter. I think he's the best quarterback on the roster right now. That
Oh
that
yeah,
that, that, that that's my take
yeah.
on that because I think the NFC North could quietly be the most competitive division in the NFC. That's because you Detroit's Detroit and they're in the Super Bowl conversation, and then you throw in the Bears and the Vikings, and I think what's lost under the shuffle with both the Bears and the Vikings is that both teams played exceptional defense in the second half of the season. That the Vikings they needed time to adjust to Brian Flores' incredible scheme, while the Bears needed time to gel. It also helped when they for the future when they acquired Montez Sweat for a second round pick from the Commanders, and that's when the defense took off because you had someone that could go after the quarterback consistently, which is something the Bears did not have in 2022 when they were the worst team in football.
Very bold point. I like that. I like that. They could go ahead and start McCarthy at the starter. I have the New York Jets going into the playoffs basically for the same reason that Flynn mentioned. My only concern for the Jets is their offensive lineman Tyron Smith, who played last 13 years with the Cowboys. But of course, his problem is he was injury prone. But when he's on the field, he can do the work. That's my only concern with the Jets offense is Tyron Smith. He's getting up a little bit in age, but we'll just see how that works. But hopefully Rodgers will make it past the fourth play of the regular season. We don't have to worry about Zach Wilson anymore. You still got Mike Williams, got Garrett Wilson as your receivers with they got a young guy, Malachi Corley, who will probably be the slot receiver there. And you got a backup like Alan Lazard, who, of course, was Aaron Rodgers' teammate over in Green Bay. So I have the Jets actually making the playoffs this year. And as well, I have the Atlanta Falcons. Now, yeah, I'm still puzzled by the fact that they were able to get Kirk Cousins from Minnesota, and they decided they decided to draft Michael Penix Jr. But I'm going to make another prediction you might want to put on the board. I believe that Penix may. I think Kirk Cousins. I mean, I hate to wish any ill will on any player, but Kirk Cousins may stumble a little bit, or he might get injured. They may go ahead and put Penix in as a starter, and they may see what happens there. And but last but not least, I actually have the Las Vegas Raiders going in.
Hmm.
Antonio Pierce, when he became the interim coach, they improved a little bit. And I think on the strength of a good final few games of last year, I think they could probably build on that. I could probably see the Raiders getting one of the three wild cards in the AFC, but actually I've got the Raiders just getting into the playoffs this year. So those are my two lists.
Wow, that is a bold prediction. Yeah, getting the Raiders into the playoffs. And look, I get where you're coming from in terms of the coach and the culture. Devontae Adams really wanted Antonio Pierce to stay as the coach of the Raiders after he said the feel was a lot different. Is Gardner Minshew one average quarterback, or is Aiden O'Connell above average quarterback? Because those are your two quarterbacks this season. In a conference that has Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Tua, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence. You have a lot of quarterbacks that will eat up that'll teams that have an easy quarterback advantage over this Raiders team. But the culture of the defense, I thought, played strong down the stretch as well. So there's always that one surprise team that comes out of the clouds to make the playoffs. Maybe it's the Raiders. But
I guess you'd
the
call
quarterback
them,
situation would be something.
I guess you could probably call them my the dark horse for my list, maybe.
Yeah. So it's like here's the thing though. If the Falcons decided not to draft Michael Penix Jr., guess what? The Raiders were dead set on drafting Michael Penix Jr. It's not the Raiders' fault that they don't have a quarterback. You blame Atlanta for that, but
Yeah, well, I digress. Let's find out what our friend Natale has for his 5 teams that's out and 5 teams in. Let's see what his is here. Go ahead, Kamish.
Yeah, well, I mean, there isn't really much to say about the Bucks. We're all in agreement there. I think that season was a fluke. They're not as good as their record shows. They're going to be exposed this season. The same thing for maybe for the Packers. I think they got a little bit lucky. I don't think they're as good as their record shows either. And I don't see them making it this time, especially since the Bears made a massive improvement. Yeah, I mean, the Bills and the Dolphins, there isn't really too much to say about that. Yeah, Flynn summarized it already. The Jets are the best team in that division right now. I'm going to agree. I mean, as of right now, I might change my mind. I could potentially put the Bills in, but right now I'm not too sure. There's still plenty of offseason left, so we'll see what happens there. And yeah, basically the Steelers, the same thing that Flynn said. We're the same on 4 out of the 5 of these, I believe.
Mm-hmm. The only exception is the Packers, where I have the Cowboys out, you have the Packers out.
Yeah. I would pump the brakes on the Cowboys. Yeah, I don't think they're that bad. I think they're gonna be fine.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised though. We'll see. Maybe the Bears could potentially replace the Cowboys in the playoff spot. I mean, we'll see. But I would pump the brakes on them right now. I really think the Cowboys are going to be just fine, even though they don't have Tony Pollard anymore. And yeah, moving on the other side. Yeah, I have the Jets making it. Yeah, we're all in agreement there. That's very easy. That's a very safe pick. They're the best team in that division right now. Yeah, this one was a tough one. I put the Saints making it. Yeah, I was expecting them to win the division last season. That didn't happen. This time, I think they're going to do it. It's a tough one because I think we're going to have kind of like the same result here, like the division winner being 9-8, something like that. Thus, having only one open spot for the playoffs. And I was tempted to pick the Falcons. I just couldn't quite do it. I think the Saints might be slightly better.
I talked about the Falcons, but there is a legitimate case about the New Orleans Saints, because if you look on the graphic, that you see the Saints lost 6 games by 8 points or less, including that debacle in Week 3 in Green Bay, where they had a 17-0 lead in the second half, and they blew it to Jordan Love, and that game was the difference between playoffs and no playoffs for both the Saints and the Packers. That had the result been opposite, the Saints would have been in the playoffs and the Packers what not in the playoffs, and the entire narratives around both of those franchises would have been a lot different if the Saints did not blow that lead. But also another thing, that the Saints had a plus 75 point differential last year, that said that they had a top 10 scoring offense, a top 10 scoring defense, and yet they did not make the playoffs in a league that allows 14 teams in. So, but that is a great point. But Dennis Allen's the coach, and I think when we pick the Falcons Saints games later in the year, I'm probably gonna pick the Falcons because I think they have the better coach, and the better quarterback. So
I will say though, if Kirk Cousins is healthy the whole year, then I think the Falcons will win that division. As of right now, I have the Saints, but it's very close. But because this division is wishy-washy, I think only one team makes the playoffs in this division, and whoever wins the division, that's it. Everybody else is out. And then my third one is the Bears for obvious reasons. We already stated that because of their draft, they made a massive improvement, best quarterback in the draft class, and all that. My fourth pick, this one might be a bit of a dark horse, but I have the Seattle Seahawks potentially making it. I don't know why. I have a gut feeling here. Because of the whole NFC South thing. If it wasn't wishy-washy, I would have put two teams in that division and then had Seattle out. And then my last team, I think they have a shot here because if Anthony Richardson could be healthy this whole season, I think this team might do pretty well. Majority of the games that they lost, he wasn't even there. Anthony Richardson, was he there for like 2 games and that was it?
I think he got hurt week 2 against the Texans.
Yeah, and then Minshew Mania was overhyped. He wasn't particularly great. He had some moments, but other than that, he wasn't really that good.
Yeah, but
I think Jonathan Taylor got hurt for a while.
I know that the thing with Jonathan Taylor was the holdout.
Yep, and I think what's his name? What's his name? The receiver.
Michael Pittman
Jr.
Well, I think wasn't he hurt for a little bit too?
He might have been, but the Colts went down to the very last weekend of the season, as you can see down below.
Yeah.
A different play call on 4th and 1 with your season on the line would have changed the narrative of both the Colts and the Texans.
Yeah.
Similar to the way the Packers Saints game did. So I mean, it's crazy how one game of the regular season can change the narrative without you realizing it until afterwards.
Yeah, that last one was a tough one for me. I was torn between a few teams. I had the Colts. I picked the Colts, but I was also considering the Jaguars, and I was also considering the Bengals. Yeah. It was a really tough choice.
Yeah,
I could make an argument over any three, but I picked the Colts just for a little comparison here, just to have something different.
And see, my 2 tough exclusions I had on my list of who's in. The Saints were one. Because you still have the talent, which I think is exceptional, especially with that defense. And the other tough exclusion that I had to make was regarding the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I listen.
Yeah, not bad. I was thinking that. Not bad. I like
that. I feel something's a little different with the Cardinals this year.
Right.
Because I think because Jonathan Gannon can coach, and I think he can flat out coach, and I think we saw that his teams played hard, that they made it tough for their opponents. I mean, look at week 1 against Washington last year, where it wasn't easy. They were up 20-0 at one point against the Giants, and they needed Daniel Jones' only productive half of the season for the Giants to even have a chance to win that game, let alone win that. And then when Kyler Murray came back from his injury, they started to play pretty well, and now you throw in 6 top 100 prospects in the draft into week 1 starters. That they look young, they look energized, they look fast. And look, I said the same thing about Jonathan Gannon after this season as I did with Mike Vrabel 5 years ago. And that year the Titans went to the NFC Championship game. I don't have the guts to put to make the Cardinals my Cinderella team yet,
right.
But I would not be surprised. I don't be surprised if when the wheel stops spinning, the week before the fantasy football draft, that the Arizona Cardinals will be included in my field of 7 in the NFC playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
That is a definitely dark horse candidate for a playoff team in the NFC right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was actually considering them.
Yeah, and look, Monty Ossenford has done a really good job as the Cardinals team. I've really liked what he's done in terms of the draft maneuvering, in terms of acquiring extra picks. I really like what he's done so far, and it's been for the better after the mess that Steve Keim left him upon his departure.
Very, very interesting list there, Natale. Very nice right there. I mean, we agree. We all agree on some, and there's a few here and there that are kind of surprises. But
yeah, basically we're mostly aligned with on who's out. I think that was the easier one to do.
Probably.
Yeah, all of us had the Bucks. I believe all of us had the Steelers. I think.
Yeah.
No, just me. I think all of us had the Dolphins. I believe.
No, Tim did not have Miami.
No, I did not have Miami.
So, but we all had the Jets and the Bears making it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's basically our list of the playoff and no playoff teams.
Coaches on the hot seat now.
Oh yeah, yes. Now since we've talking about the playoff teams that could go in, could stay out, it's time to talk about the coaches that are going into this season on the hot seat. But before we do that, let's take a look back. If you still have that list, Flynn, take a look back at 2023.
I will give me 1 second. Let me let me retrieve that. If I could find.
I also have a trivia question pertaining to coaches later on.
Actually, do it now.
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead. I don't really have a question made up, so
I was torn between doing a couple topics, but I thought my original question was too easy because according to this article I'm seeing, Nathaniel Hackett was the last coach that was one and done, but that was in the 2022 season. I was originally going to ask who was the first one before him. I mean, sorry, the last one before him, but I felt like that was too easy.
That would have been Urban Meyer.
I
okay, good. So good, because that's not my question now.
Also last year Frank Reich didn't even last the first season.
Ah, true.
With the Panthers.
So here's my real question now. Who was the last team that had a head coach that was one and done in back-to-back seasons?
Ooh.
You can give me the coach or the team, either or.
Oh, I got that one. So let's see if Tim knows that one.
Yeah. So do you know the team or the year? Sorry, the team or the coach. You can name me either one.
One and done in back-to-back years.
Yeah, but both of the coaches were one and done for the same team. You can either name me the team or the coach.
I'd probably say Cleveland.
Not Cleveland. All right, so yeah, go ahead, Flynn. You can give me either the name of the coach or the team, either or.
Let me find hold on, let me. Yes, yeah. I mean, because the team was the Texans.
Actually, that's not according to this article. No.
Oh, not the Texans.
No, it was not the Texans.
Really?
Actually, yeah. Prior to Urban Meyer was Steve Wilkes of the Cardinals in 2018, but that's not the answer I'm looking for either. There is a coach before him. I'll tell you what to do. I'll let you guys work together on this one. Do you want me to give you the team name or the name of one of the coaches? I'll let you guys. I'm going to help you guys out here. Give you guys one more chance for redemption. You want one coach, or do you want the name of the team?
I'll take the name of the team.
That would be the 49ers.
Oh.
Oh no. Yeah,
I got one. I got one.
I know the two. I know the two, but it also happened in 20 with the Texans. Natale. I don't think you got. I don't think you got the right information.
I heard
if you're talking about the 49, you said it was the 49ers.
Yes.
I know it has to be this
Cannot
guy
play
here.
with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
That's not it, Timmy.
Oh, so it wasn't Mike Singletary.
It's no, because I think the answer Natale is looking for is 2015 and 2016 Jim Tom Sula and Chip Kelly.
Correct. Back-to-back years 2015 and 2016.
So, but it also happened with the Texans in 21 and 22. That's because you had 21 was David Coley and then 22 was Lovie Smith.
Yeah, Lovie Smith. Okay. That's who I was thinking of.
I guess this article didn't update properly. I found an article from Deadspin.
Dated when, Natale?
When was this dated? December 27th, 2022.
Yeah, but Lovie Smith wasn't fired yet, so.
Okay.
I mean, even though Natale tried to get us a good trivia question here, I think he kind of missed that one a little bit.
But were they one and done though?
Yeah, both were one and done.
Right. So I think Mr. Flynn has found the file that we were looking for. Looking back at the head coaches that we thought were on the hot seat last year. So that's who we had. And it looks like the ones in green are the ones that actually got fired. And of course, the first of which was Josh McDaniels, pretty much in the middle of the season. And so we all had Ron Rivera.
We all had Ron Rivera. Yeah, but it was a pretty easy one.
Yeah, pretty easy.
So,
Brandon Staley.
Because of that was an easy one.
Right. Arthur Smith, I didn't quite see that one coming. Didn't quite see it coming, but
I got it. I called it.
Yeah, he called it. Yeah.
Meanwhile, both of you had Kevin Stefanski, and he wound up being the coach of the year.
He is not on my list this time. He is not on there.
No, he is. I do not have Stefanski this time.
And both of you had Mike McCarthy, and both the Cowboys won 12 games last year.
Yep. So that's basically our list that we had last year.
Yeah, but I was stunned that the Jets kept Salah. And even though it was the lack of discipline on defense. So, and Natale and Tim have seen their list, but I've seen Natale's and Tim's list, but they have not seen mine. So, are you ready?
Let's do this.
Here we go.
Okay. So for Natale's list of coaches on the hot seat, he's got Doug Peterson for the Jaguars. He's got Mike McCarthy from the Cowboys again. Sean McDermott for the Bills, Zach Taylor for the Bengals, and Kevin O'Connell for the Vikings. So, Natale, Explain yourself.
Yeah, for the
I definitely want to hear your explanation about Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, wait a minute. I might have put him by accident. I was considering Robert Saleh. That's what it was. That was the one I was hung up on.
Yeah, but it's,
because I think the
maybe it was a toss up. Was it a toss up between Saleh and O'Connell?
Yeah, that one I screwed up on. Yeah. I realize it now that I see the list in front of me.
Yeah.
That was a bad call, so I'm gonna scratch that.
All right.
So you're gonna have to scratch that one. Well, unfortunately for you, Natale,
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
But I mean, luckily I did put a substitute in there. I was kind of rushing that, so yeah. Let's replace Kevin O'Connell with Robert Saleh. Let's just get that out of the way. I don't know what I was thinking there. I had to put somebody. I was panicking. I was like, I couldn't. It was so hard for me to put 5 people.
Yeah, I think. Hey Flynn, I think we can let him slide that one.
Yeah, well, we'll let him slide then because the Vikings just picked their franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think
O'Connell's probably safe right now. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll start at the top with Doug Peterson. The Jaguars I think really messed up. Sure, I'll factor Trevor Lawrence's injury to account, but yeah, Doug Peterson is definitely better than this. I think this is a wake-up call. If he screws up, I think that's it. Mike McCarthy, probably for obvious reasons. I think we all know this now. We all have him on the list. If for some crazy reason Dallas doesn't make the playoffs, he's definitely done.
Mm-hmm.
And for Sean McDermott, same thing. Yeah, the Bills are far too talented. But if they screw this up, I think he's also done. Bengals, and I don't think they're as good as they once were. I think they're a little long in the tooth here. They need to step it up. Sure, granted, they lost Joe Mixon. I'll cut them a little bit of slack there. But if Zach Taylor can't coach this defense, I think there's going to be some problems. And we're going to, like I said, scratch Kevin O'Connell. Let's put in Robert Saleh in there. The Jets have been given a bone. This is their division to lose. If they lose this division, he's definitely done.
Okay. I can see that. Well, all right. My list goes as follows. Mike McCarthy.
Is Natale's screen frozen?
And
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. He may have to go to his cell phone or to his iPad or whatever else he uses. Anyway, Kevin O'Connell. Oh boy. All right. Well, I've got McCarthy on the list here. This is his make or break. I mean, I cannot give McCarthy another pass. I mean, if Cowboys, I mean, like I said, the Cowboys may not make the playoffs. They may barely miss. It's Flynn, are you okay?
No. Just keep talking about my.
Well, okay. Yeah. I mean, they're saying, can Dak Prescott take the Cowboys to the Super Bowl? My answer is he has not even taken them to the NFC Championship game. So, and Mike McCarthy, I don't quite get it. coached 13 years at Green Bay, got them to 8 playoff appearances, got 1 Super Bowl victory with them. Then he comes to Dallas, and what's all he got to prove? Like two playoff appearances and 1 super. I'm sorry, Flynn.
All right, wait, what did I miss? I was gone for like 2 seconds. What did I miss? What did I miss? I was gone for like 5 seconds.
Sorry, folks. Oh my God, my nose is bleeding again. Oh my gosh. I've not laughed so hard like this since that one show last year with LC and Lucas. And oh my gosh, I'll have to show you guys that clip sometime before the season starts. But anyway, yeah, McCarthy is his seat is now, I think, hotter than ever before. So if they don't even make the NFC Championship game, he's gone, and I believe Dak is gone, and they'll just have to worry about moving on from them. Next on my list, Dennis Allen. The Orioles has been kind of in a lull for the last couple of years, even though they got Derek Carr with them. Or do they still have Derek Carr? Hold up. Let me check my depth charts here for New Orleans. Who they got there? They kind of they got Derek Carr. They still have Chris Olave. They have Rashid Shaheed as their slot. They've been kind of a mid-card team over the last couple of years. So Dennis Allen will probably have to get that team together and really get them going here. Matt Eberflus for the Bears. They, just like you said about Robert Saleh, the Bears have got a bone, and it's time for them to grab it and see if they can work those 2 young guys and that offense, get that defense going pretty good. So the Bears have very high expectations for this young team that could make the playoffs. Sean McDermott for the Bills. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Bills have been to a AFC Championship game since 2020. The Bills Mafia is kind of getting a little bit restless with him. So they got to perform better than New York. They got to perform better than Miami. Of course, everyone in that division is going to perform better than the Patriots. So, but right now, Sean McDermott's hot seat is it's really getting burning up right now. And last but not least, I kind of had to put Mike Tomlin in there. Even though he may retire at the end of this next season, the Steelers have that quarterback situation that we talked about earlier. And I don't know, the Steelers may miss the playoffs. Either way, Tomlin may retire, but like I've said many times before, I have nothing but the utmost respect for Mike Tomlin. I mean, you got a guy who's been a coach, just 3 head coaches in the last 40-something years?
Yeah, I think I think since the last 55 years, they've only had 3 coaches: Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin.
I mean, you talk about greatness right there. Tomlin is one of the greatest. They should put a statue of Tomlin in front of that. I don't know what they call it. I still call it Heinz Field, damn it. So basically, that's my list there. So, Flynn, we can go to your list right now.
Yeah, and I do agree with Natalia when it comes to Robert Saleh. Because look, I called on the Jets to fire Saleh so many times because it's the lack of discipline and can't coach his way out of a paper bag. And that's some winnable games with Zach Wilson at the quarterback, but it was a bad execution and that their season was hell bent on a 40-year-old staying healthy. That's kind of a problem there. And Matty Eberflus was number 2 on my list of the head coaching candidates 2 years ago in the coaching cycle that included Brian Dable going to the Giants. So this Bears team should be making the playoffs. I think that should be the minimum expectation. Well, but when it comes to the transformative nature of the Chicago Bears roster, but Eberflus has got to be better in crunch time situations. So we gotta. He's getting his name has got to be up there. Dennis Allen. No, look, it was a disaster for him with the Raiders, and I think you have to consider the Saints as a team that's underperformed his 2 seasons there so far. He was clearly not the best choice to succeed Sean Payton after he quit on the Saints. And I believe that Dennis Allen will be fired if the Saints miss the playoffs. And I think the same thing too with Mike McCarthy because I think the Cowboys have another whole skill issue when it comes to their quarterback. So will the Cowboys want to bring in a new head coach and a new quarterback? Conventional wisdom says that's worked in the past. I mean, see Jimmy Johnson and Troy Aikman the same year. So, but I think that's going to be something to keep in mind for Dallas, and then for the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Sirianni. And I think here's the thing, though. I think that the late season collapse last year is still very much in the minds of the Philadelphia Eagles. That the Eagles were in a position to because at one point they were 10-1. They had the best record in football. They had a 2-game lead over everybody. They were winning a lot of close games. They got high level production from Jalen Hurts, from AJ Brown, that running attack. Even in some of the tougher games, like against Kansas City, against Buffalo, the Week 9 game against Dallas, they found ways to win those games. But I don't know what it was. It might have been the security incident. It might have been the poor play on defense, having to change coordinators. And now Nick Sirianni in his second straight year of two new coordinators with Cal Moore, who I think is a big upgrade over the last one, and Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, a big upgrade over Sean Desai, Matt Patricia, but the hallmark of losing in football, Matt Patricia, over the last 5 years. Now you have upgrades at coordinators and a super talented roster. And if the Philadelphia Eagles are right now my pick to win the division, but if they don't win a playoff game, I think there's going to be some serious calls from the Eagles fans going for the head of Nick Sirianni. So it's that if the Eagles do not win a playoff game this season, I consider the season a failure.
Interesting.
I was actually considering putting Nick Sirianni on my list, but considering how well they did in the draft this past year, or just a couple months ago, I think Philadelphia could have a better season than last year. I mean, yeah, last season was really terrible with them basically free falling into the playoffs, which is never a good thing. They just got bolstered right out of there in the first round. But I do see good things coming. I still think Philadelphia is the top team in that division, the NFC East. But I digress. I mean, but I was thinking of putting Sirianni on my list. But I will
Yeah.
say one thing. But I will say one thing. I I was sure as hell's not going to put Kevin O'Connell on my list.
Oh, well, we're disregarding that because I was half asleep when I
Yeah,
wrote this.
we are. Yeah.
Okay, I think we've
Yeah,
gotten
I'm
past
replacing it with
that.
Robert Saleh
Yeah.
because I wrote him as an
Okay.
alternate.
Okay, so we'll put Saleh in there. Let's put Kevin O'Connell to rest. I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all righty then.
I'll have that updated for next time.
Yeah, hold that to see how they do. Yeah. And we have a I forgot we did have some comments earlier from our good friend Dashy. Kyle Shanahan on the hot seat? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so at all.
No. Kyle Shanahan is safe. I mean,
Yeah.
the 49ers, like I said, they are the best team in the NFC until further notice. Shanahan's doing a great job there. Nothing else there. So, I guess. So we got a lot of stuff covered in this last hour and a half, and it's been a great show. Now, we were planning on doing another show next Friday. However, I believe one of you said you wouldn't be available next Friday.
I think Natale said he was.
Yeah, I
not
mean,
available
highly
next
unlikely.
Friday.
I mean, it depends on how I feel after I get home from work. I mean, if I do come in, it would be late though.
Okay, and then
So
we'll try.
at minimum, I wouldn't be available for the start of the show.
Right. So
That's a
then
big
we
if.
try.
If I come,
That's a
it would
big if.
be it would be well after you guys start. So I mean, if
Right.
you guys want to do it, go ahead. But if I do come in, I'd be coming in later.
Okay. Yeah, we were thinking about doing it Thursday, but Flynn said he probably wouldn't be available for that Thursday. So we might just go ahead and do it.
I was thinking you wouldn't be available on Thursday because that's when the Mavs start the NBA Finals against Boston.
Well, I could probably keep up with it any other time. Probably might not actually watch it, but I mean it'll be interesting. And speaking of playoffs, yeah, a little bad news. Edmonton beat Dallas 3-1, so now Edmonton leads the game 3-2 with the Stars against the wall right now. So, and next game, of course, probably be Sunday, and
Yeah.
it's win or go home for Dallas on Sunday. So
Who's the
we'll
home
just have
team
to.
for Game 6?
Edmonton.
Ugh.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to hockey anymore.
right.
I kind of lost interest. Well, way back in the day, I was a Devils fan.
Right. So we'll just see what happens there. But let's have a preview for the next Hooked on Sports, Flynn.
Let's see. I think we're gonna be. I'll be going into more about the conference finals in the NBA about where Lucas stands in the best player in the world conversation. And some topics in Major League Baseball about the with Soto and Judge and the Yankees pitching, which has been unreal so far, and the Yankees are boat racing to the best record in the American League.
Yeah, but now they got a hurdle climb. They lost to Clark Schmidt now for a month and a half at least.
Yeah, I know,
All
but
right.
still, we're
All right, folks. Well,
Yep.
just go to whatever podcast site you go to, look up Hooked on Sports, and you'll hear Mr. John Flynn giving his insights on everything in the world of sports. So I guess we could probably plan on doing a show Thursday. Of course, I'll keep up with NBA Finals, but we could probably be on the air next Thursday, which will be the
6.
Oh, yes, the 6th. I mixed up my numbers on my little whiteboard calendar up on my wall, so it'll be June 6th. We'll be in the month of June. The weather's going to get hotter. The action in the NFL is going to get pretty good. Everybody's going to be ready for the training camp starting in late July, early August. So yeah, it
And of
is.
course next week. And of course, next week we have that I think some of the teams are going to be in mini camp next week. So we'll get a lot more buzz. We'll probably have some more sound bites that we could use to get everything going here and in terms of the fantasy perspective. So
All right, then. Well, I believe this has been one excellent show we did tonight.
yep.
Yeah, it was great, and we're going to do it again. So y'all be sure
Wait,
to listen
which
to
division
John
you guys want to
Flynn.
start with?
I was in terms of the division previews.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking starting with the North Division, so I think the AFC and NFC North,
Okay.
and like doing North, South, East, West.
Okay.
There we go. Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
All right, so y'all be looking for us in about a couple of weeks. 6th of June, we'll be
That's
back
next
here.
week.
Oh, actually, next week. Yes, next week.
Yeah.
All right, so hope y'all enjoy the rest of the week. Hope you all enjoy the sports. Keep up with the football. Lots of football leagues have been activated, like ours on ESPN. That's where we play.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're getting closer and closer. I mean, you might not believe it, but we're getting close. So, thank all you guys for watching us. And if you did like this show, if you want to see more of this, or if you want to see previous shows, all you got to do, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll know when a new video comes out. So, thank you, John Flynn. Thank you, John Natale. You guys are always great.
Of course.
Yep.
All right. That's going to put a wrap on this edition of Fantasy Football Fever. My name is Tim McClellan. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy the sports. God bless you. And as always, be a good sport. See ya.